And hello, how are we today? It's your old pal of mine, good old Heaster. Um, yeah, we ain't done one of these little grainy me holding the iPhone type of videos in a while, so it's time for another one because I think it's been a couple months if I do recall correctly. Anyway, what we're going to talk about today is another aspect. Somebody had asked me recently, hey, you're not working on that old stuff no more. You got to keep working on that old stuff. You know, you're one of the only ones that's working on that old stuff. Well, yeah, that may be so, but there are parameters, and it's all part of my policy. That there's another video further down in the queue that you can look up and see why I don't, but we're going to get into it today and explain the major reason why. I talked in that last video about wiring, and you know, if a customer brings me something that they said, well, mouse got into it, well, okay, let me see it. And I had this instance here again over the summer. A guy brought me this. It was a little, like a mini Baja boat with I think it was an 85 horse on the back of it, Mercury, from the early to mid 70s. It still had the it had the distributor on it, but it was solid state. It was the first round of the Thunderbolt motors that still retained that whirly-gigger ignition system in it. It looked like a Magneto. So anyway, I proceeded to show the guy, hey, look, this is why I'm going to have to replace this. You know, you're talking at the time when he was here and I was looking up the parts, he would have had $1,400 in this old motor. And I don't think the whole rig was probably worth that. But anyway, I digress. We're getting off topic. I'm going to show you today what the manufacturers had done in about the mid-'80s or so to try to combat that. Because it wasn't only just mouse urine that mucked up your wiring. It was moisture and weathering and things of that nature. You know, if you get insulation, it was cracked and it was susceptible to moisture, you could guarantee that your wiring was going to get screwed up, broken wires internally, things of that nature. You couldn't solder to them. But anyway, we're just going to get into it. So I'm going to show you. This is a Johnson Evinrude harness. It was something that was cut off that I retained just for the sole purpose of making this video. This is was part of the system check harness off the control box, but anyway, they didn't need it, so I lopped it off, and I thought, hey, might as well keep this for a video. But anyway, the old wiring was copper core conductor. This, as you can see, looks pretty damn silver, does it not? Okay. It's still a copper wire, but the difference is they tin this. In the construction of this wiring on this newer stuff, well, 85 and newer, if we're talking newer, but I've even seen some of the newer stuff revert back to just regular copper stranded wiring, which I'm not real impressed with. But anyway, this was the stuff that held up right here. This is what they would consider marine grade wiring. Okay, and by today's standard. And here again, we're going to show you another point of today's standard. And again, don't mind the crappy camera work. I'm not a professional. But this is the same wiring, same type of wiring. You can see it. But there's copper underneath that tinning. You're saying, well, that looks like solder on there, Heath. Well, let me show you something. I'll just get, you know what, you people are just going to have to bear with me. So, looks like solder, eh? Let's just cut this off. Here, cut that jacketing off. Cut it off there. Now we're going to strip this back. And I'll show you what I mean. So you people are just going to have to wait for a few minutes and be patient. But this is marine grade 2 conductor wire, positive and a negative. It would be something like you would use a primary wire running up to your dash from a fuse block or from the battery at the back of the boat. Oh, good Lord. This stuff is ultra thick, ultra stiff. Henceforth the marine grade denotation. But let me get it stripped back. And I'm not unlocking my box just to do this. I'm doing this on a whim. But yeah, here, just so we're sure I'm not cheating. I'm not trying to BS anybody. This is still the same wire that you just seen before. Now, looky there. It is silver. That's not solder. This is heavy primary wire. But you look at the ends of it. I don't know if the camera can catch that or not. Maybe it can, maybe it can't. You can barely make it out. It's copper. Okay. The reason being that tinning is on there for corrosion resistance. Okay. And like I mentioned in the past, the marine environment is a harsh old lady. And the thought of, well, we can leave it outside because it's a boat. It goes in water, it'll be fine. No, it really won't. If you're running a regular stranded copper cord conductor that's not tinned like that wire I just stripped, or not tinned like this here wire is, you're going to run into problems eventually. Or if you're running an older rig that has the original wiring in it and it was left outside, you might as well just figure on rewiring the damn thing and being done with it. Because I'm going to show you something else. And I'm going to take a pause for the cause. Bush Light apple. Yuck. I didn't think I'd be drinking that, but it's here and it's cold. I've got an old Mercury back here. Now, somebody had made a splice here. I bought this motor as a boner motor for parts, but it's a prime example here of what you shouldn't do. Okay, this is a wire nut for all intents and purposes. Okay. You look at that wire there, what is something that you're seeing? You're seeing the shiny part at the top, up here, at the top, right at the very tip of this. The camera's not catching it real well because of the light in here and everything, but that is copper. Now what you're seeing at the bottom of the conductor down here before it gets into the jacketing is corrosion. Maybe this one will show it a little bit better. It's the same wire. Why they did a splice there, I have no clue. But it is copper. And you can see some of the duller looking strands on it. Okay, that wire is corroding from the inside out. hold this one, but there you can get a better view of it. You can see it's got a green tint to it. This, if you're gonna bring me something and I'm expected to make a splice off of this, the way I splice things, genuinely, if it's not terminated on the end like these guys here with an actual terminal, I'm not putting a butt splice on it and crimping it. I'm soldering it and I'm heat shrinking it. And a wire in the condition that I just showed you will not accept solder. So here comes Johnny Customer, brings me a boat motor. Well, you know, it sat outside for 20 years, but they said it ran when it was blast parked. Well, that may be so. But one of the first things I'm going to do, and it's something that I didn't show because none of those wires on that old Merc back there are that bad, but I have seen them where the insulation, the outer jacketing, will physically crumble. I'll take my fingers and go like this up and down the wiring on an old motor that comes in here, and I see that it's either a mouse piss special or it's sat out and the wiring color has either faded or it's chipping apart. I'm going to go up and down some of those wires and just show you before you even bring it here, or before you drop it off physically and unhook it from your vehicle, that it ain't going to go. You're going to be in for a lot of money. Now, the next thing is, well, can't you splice it? Can't you make it work? I've tried to do that on 2 or 3 separate occasions over the course of the last 5 years. And every time it's happened, it's always worked out terribly for me, because then the motor comes back, or the customer has a problem with it. It fails out on the water. You know, I'm gotten to the point where I'm telling people, hey, look, if you want me to half-ass something, that's fine, but you're signing something before you leave here that I will not be held liable, because I make it known to them that, hey, if you don't trust this thing out in the middle of Lake Erie or Superior or Ontario or whatever your chosen body of Great Lakes waters are, then I'm not going to fix it like that. I'm just not. So, anyway, that's just something that was itching my head here lately, so I thought I'd make a video and kind of show you a little bit of proof about it and see why some of the older stuff has, you know, been damned by me. But again, if you bring me something and it's cherry and it's just sat for a long time and it, you know, it's clean under the hood and the wiring's not falling apart, I'll gladly work on it. But just let it be known that if it's not a tinned copper cord conductor wire, you're pushing the boundaries of good taste, because that wiring has age and it will crack and you'll get moisture in it. So just another little piece of advice from your friendly neighborhood boat mechanic. And as always, be good to each other and stay tuned, my friends. Thank you.